Hi, welcome to Holographic Human Coach. I'm here with Colby Bronson and Whitney Huff, and we'd like to talk a little bit about the conscious and subconscious minds. Colby, would you mind talk a little bit about the conscious mind, what its function is?
Yeah, absolutely. The conscious job in the three brains meaning the conscious, the subconscious, and the limbic system. The conscious's job perceives, evaluates, judges, and decides. It perceives information from the subconscious. It evaluates the information. It makes a judgment upon the information and then decides upon the data being sent up from the subconscious.
Okay. Whitney, would you mind talking to us about the subconscious, what its functions are?
The subconscious governs all our automatic learning systems. It governs our self-talk, its emotions. So when we talk about automatic learning functions, right, when you're first learning to drive, you're paying attention to where you put your hands, you're noticing everything, and it's because it's a conscious focus. And then as soon as it builds that program, it becomes an automatic program, right? You're not paying attention to the way, is my foot on the gas, on the brake, where are my hands at, what am I doing, is my blinker on? It just becomes an automatic learning. Subconscious governs, we don't have to sit and have to think of a thought or to move my left hand like I just did, or to take a breath, or for a heartbeat to pump. It becomes, all that information gets stored up and then it gets brought up for conscious access. It doesn't know the difference between real or imagine. Everything in there just is. So conscious has to approve something to come up. Old programs don't go away. All these programs we've been running on, they never go away. You have to consciously choose to change, and by taking conscious control of these things, and then re-perceiving, evaluating, judging, and deciding about something. This creates our identity, our personality, all automatic behaviors, our belief systems. Still, you can consciously choose to change those.
If you were the subconscious mind and Colby was the conscious mind, what is it that gets to take place for the data in the subconscious to come to conscious?
It stores up all these programs. Limbic sends up chemicals, it codes by chemicals. It's a process of repeating over and over again until it becomes a full program.
If I may, your conscious mind, in relation to like a desktop computer, your conscious mind is the keyboard and your subconscious mind is the mainframe sitting on the floor. And your subconscious mind doesn't think, it doesn't reason, right? So your conscious mind, literally, like Whitney said, gives permission. I mean, you conscious alters, conscious controls, and consciously choose to make a change in your life or create a difference in your life. You're doing so consciously. It's not a subconscious function. And conscious overrides. It sends the commands. It literally, just as if you were to ask for a file on your computer, you consciously can choose to ask for different files. These choices can be information that you haven't already perceived, evaluated, judged, and decided upon. And that's the beauty of your conscious mind, is that you literally are afforded choice through your conscious mind. Your opportunity, will say, to be able to perceive, reevaluate, rejudge, and redecide upon information. And the unfortunate part about all of this is that you're only getting information that you've already perceived, evaluated, judged, and decided upon. And they're past programs. I've heard it said that you're programmed by the time you're 8 years old, and anything that came thereafter is just a fortification of those programs, right? And so you're running off of a belief system that was created when you were a child. And everything that's been built upon that, the gestalt of emotions, like she said, your limbic system and codes, is all just, you're only responding based upon those core beliefs. And until you consciously choose to observe, right, make an objective perception about information that you've been pre-programmed to believe, it creates your actions. Your response to every situation is all past referenced. And so when you really get into the law of reverse effect, which is something we haven't discussed here, you get true choice, and only conscious is allowed to make those differences in thought processes and perceptions, evaluations, judgments, and decisions.
If I understand you correctly, we have a lot to do with even what's in our subconscious, just simply by choosing to perceive, evaluate, judge, and decide differently about what comes up to conscious. Because all that data just goes back down to subconscious.
Absolutely.
To once again, at a later time, to come back up to conscious.
Well, let's talk about real quick the differences in your subconscious and conscious mind as far as just data, receiving data, right? Your subconscious mind gathers 400 billion bits of data per second. I mean, that's an amazing number. It's really difficult to wrap your mind around 400 billion bits. I mean, one bit of information consists of a thought and everything within that thought, right? So we talk here about the fact that when you walk into a room, you know everything in that room. You know how many people are in that room. You know how many males, how many females. You know how many eyeballs are on each head. You know how many eyeballs total. You know how many dots are on the ceiling. How many defects are in the table. How many scratches. I mean, you look outside at a tree, at a pine tree, and you know exactly how many needles are on that tree. And your subconscious mind is an extremely powerful machine, right? And your conscious mind is only getting, 3, 5, 7, or 9 bits of whole data every 0.22 of a second. That adds up to 1,496 bits per second, right? So out of the 400 billion bits you're gathering in your subconscious mind, your conscious mind is literally only getting a tiny fraction of that information. And it's information that you've already made perceptions about, you've already evaluated, you've already judged, you've already decided upon. And so in order for us to get different information, to have well-informed choice, we get to take part in the techniques and the opportunities that J.D. Marvin has created for us to be able to get different information up. And we haven't talked about a lot of that stuff yet. Still, just to point out the fact that 400 billion bits versus every second versus the 1,496 that your conscious has privilege to, right? And until you start to observe yourself and consciously choose to, weed out the negative aspects of your life and consciously choose to get different information in regards to the negative aspects of your life, you really are just a robot. And that's the truth of it,
Thank you, Colby. As we talk today here about conscious and subconscious, and Colby brought up law of reverse effect, and that'll be something that in our next episode we can talk more about, and ways to negate the laws of a reverse effect to benefit us more in our life. Thank you.